Have you ever had a roommate that was just a little off? Well, today we're diving into a story that takes a little off and cranks it up to 11. This is a roommate horror story that starts out weird and ends up as a full-blown, absolutely bonkers domestic zoo.
Yup, you heard that right. Just let that sink in for a second. This isn't a joke, this isn't a one-time thing. This single sentence, according to our source, is the everyday reality for one poor person, all day long.
And that's really the big question here, isn't it? I mean, we all have our own little quirks, but where is that line? At what point does a funny little habit cross over into a sanity-shattering, genuine nightmare? Let's get into it.
Okay, so how on earth did things get this bad? Well, like with most train wrecks, if you look closely, you can see the warning signs from a mile away.
So here's the setup. It's a two-bedroom apartment. Our narrator lives with a roommate we'll call Bill. Bill decides to move his girlfriend, Molly, in. Okay, fine. But here are the two giant red flags that pop up immediately. Molly isn't paying a dime in rent, and both of them are unemployed, which means they are home all the time. So with that as the backdrop, you can probably guess that things went downhill, and fast. The situation devolved into what the source literally calls a living nightmare. And we're not talking about your typical roommate problems like dirty dishes or loud music. Oh no, this is on a whole other level of bizarre. Just try to imagine this for a second. You're trying to work from home or just relax, and this is the constant soundtrack to your life. Non-stop meowing, growling, hissing, even quacking. And just for good measure, let's throw in some loud baby talk and constant rage-filled yelling at video games. It's a complete auditory assault. And if you're thinking, well, just put in some earplugs. This quote right here tells you everything you need to know about how impossible that was. I mean, think about it. You've got the shower on full blast, the dishwasher, and the washing machine are both running, and you can still hear them meowing. There was literally no escape.
So, obviously something had to give. You can't live like that forever. The breaking point finally came in the middle of a workday, when our narrator, just trying to do their job, finally hit their limit.
So the request was about as simple and polite as you can get. Can you please tone down the screaming? Seems pretty reasonable, right? Well, the response they got back was just mind-blowing. They actually said, it's our nature to talk like this when we're together. Their nature. They claimed this was just how they expressed their love and that it was unreasonable to ask them to change. And this was the final jaw-dropping justification. They actually weaponized the apartment's rules, basically saying that because quiet hours didn't start until 11 p.m., they had a free pass to be as loud and obnoxious as they wanted until then. It's a total, deliberate refusal to just be a considerate person. At a complete loss, the storyteller did what so many of us do. They took their case to the court of public opinion. And let me tell you, the judgment that came back was swift and it was intense. And boom! The verdict came in loud and clear, and it was 100% unanimous. There was zero debate on this one. The storyteller was absolutely not the problem here. And this quote really sums up the reaction people had. They weren't just saying, oh, you're right. No, people were having a deep, visceral, angry reaction on the storyteller's behalf. It's the kind of validation you need when you're starting to think you're the one who's going crazy. So yeah, the official ruling was crystal clear. The storyteller is totally, completely, 100% in the right. The blame falls squarely on the shoulders of the aspiring cat and girlfriend couple. The source also had a perfect diagnosis for the couple's whole mindset. They called it main character energy. And you know exactly what that is, right? It's that unshakable belief that you're the star of the movie and everyone else is just a background character in your bizarre personal story. A total lack of boundaries. They didn't mince words either. The source described their actions as simply trash can behavior. It's blunt, but you know what? It's also a pretty fitting label for being that disrespectful in a shared home. And this really gets to the practical, no-nonsense core of it all. The fact that these two are unemployed and making life a living hell for the one person who is actually working and paying the rent is the ultimate injustice. The message is simple. Your weird hobbies shouldn't be somebody else's problem, especially when they're footing the bill. So, beyond just getting that sweet, sweet validation, what's the actual solution here? Well, the source provides more than just a verdict. It gives a concrete plan of action. The advice is a clear three-step plan. First, document everything.
Record every meow, every shriek, get that audio evidence. Second, escalate. Take that evidence to the landlord because quiet hours does not mean a free-for-all nuisance period for the other 16 hours of the day. And finally, and this is the most important step, plan your escape. You simply cannot reason with this level of delusion.
And that really leaves us with this one big thought. In any shared living space, there's always a delicate balance. Now, this story is obviously an extreme example, but it forces all of us to ask that question. Where do you draw the line between someone's personal freedom and your basic right to have some peace in your own home? Definitely something to think about.